Theoden is an elf who has lived for over 1,000 years. She has seen lives come and go like the seasons, faced countless foes, mastered many magics of her world. She should be untouchable, uncaring as the world changes around her. So how does a mere 10-year journey, not even 1/100th of her life, affect her so much? How does it bring her to tears? In an anime season of shiny new shows, Fjörin is the antithesis, a Tolkien-esque refrain on what comes at the end of a fantasy adventure. Fjörin is an elven mage and a member of the hero's party of this world. After 10 years, Fjörin, Himmel the hero, Heiter the priest, and Eisen the warrior return to the kingdom, having defeated the Demon King. There's a celebration, shooting comets that appear once every 50 years, a joyous occasion, and Fjörin feels detached. Her party members revel in their time together, but she's confused. It was only 10 short years, not even 1/100th of her life. She acts coldly, as if this was purely a small side quest to the story of her life. She will take no apprentice. She will wander the continent for another 100 years and stop by again for the next comet fall, and show them, her party, a better spot to watch. And true to her word, Fjörin travels, and we see time fly by in a blink of an eye. The beauty of the world of 50 years goes by. Fjörin reluctantly returns to the city and meets her companions again for the first time in half a century. They are different. Even the stout Eisen, who looks almost the same, feels the pain of aging, and Himmel is near unrecognizable except for the sheen in his eyes and the kindness in his voice. And they go on one last tiny adventure, to see the falling comets. And our last shot of the party together as a whole is as they sit at the bank of this lake, watching the lights of the world around them, and we hear the music, beautiful and heartbreaking. Not long after, Himmel dies, and at that moment we don't quite know what this means for them. The group makes light of the situation. Himmel was an old man now, after all, and he died happy, and it seems like that will be all. And as they lower him into the ground, we finally get the first real bout of emotion from Fjörin, of regret. We only traveled for a mere 10 years. I knew human lives were short, but why didn't I try to know him better? And that hits us hard. That hit me hard, because it's easy to simply have a character cry over another character's death and make it feel almost meaningless. But here, there's a weight to that regret that feels real. Families, friends, I guaranteed there's someone in your life you wish you could have had a second chance with, because you realize you didn't put in enough effort to know them or to love them as you wish you could. But death and time are immutable. There is no stopping them, and it's easy to coldly grow apart, because then you don't get hurt. But as Eisen says to Fjörin, that's not how relationships work. It's not about how long someone stands next to you, but how much they change you in the short time that is our lives. How the purest form of love is remembering these moments and these people for as long as you can. Fjörin's life is anything but short, but now she knows that she must learn the value of a life, of friends and company, and the limited time that we have. What those short 10 years truly did to her. Fjörin Beyond Journey's End is a tale of two stories, told side by side, as Fjörin retraces the steps of her old party. No, party is not the right word, because they were her family. And now, with her new family, she goes searching for a way to see Himmel one last time. And this anime, this anime is going to make you feel things. This animation is gorgeous, like a constant painting. It can be fluid, and it can be calming, it can be actiony, and the music is easily the best of almost any anime I've seen this year. It is good enough to make you cry on its own. Don't let the energetic opening of the show fool you. It's a bit of a tonal dissonance, Fjelin's music throughout the rest of the show is an orchestra of emotions. It sounds like remembrance, like a journey's end, if that makes any sense. When I said Tolkien-esque at the beginning of this review, I meant it with all my heart. And it is emotional, not in the oppressive sadness that you might expect, but in an appreciative longing, a nostalgic longing. The same nostalgia we see in Fjelin's eyes as she sees the statues of her friends, visits villages she once saved many years ago, reminisces of the promises Himmel made to her. And instead of tragedy, there's a sense of triumph in these moments, of these recollection of memories, because it means that the journey, that small 10-year journey for Fjelin, not only changed her life, but the lives of near countless people she met and never fully realized in the moment. And to go with this emotional story, you have to have these mature, good-natured characters that surround Fjelin's life. To start, her original party, who we see in the first few episodes, are now long gone, but we still get glimpses of them through well-timed flashbacks throughout the show. Heiter, a drunken priest turned adopted father of a young orphan girl, a trickster who, at the end of the day, did his best to make up for his own shortcomings by making the world a better place. And Eisen, probably my favorite depiction of a fantasy dwarf in years, stout and stalwart, and even afraid and vulnerable at times. Himmel the hero, a vain but kind man who is far more of a character than we truly realize the first time we meet him, and who I'll discuss more closer to the end of this review. And while normally in a story, knowing that a character is dead and gone would make it very tricky to get us invested in their stories and their lives, especially through flashbacks, there's something to these flashbacks. The flashbacks themselves are rarely of the party being heroes. More often, it's the aftermath of their heroics, or the moments in between, the fun of their journey. And slowly, we begin to love them through their interactions with Fjelin. They never overshadow our current party, but in these brief glimpses, we see so much of who these people were, and why Fjelin remembers them so well. And they do feel like heroes. And most importantly, these memories follow the same path Fjelin now retraces, allowing us to relive these moments in these locations with her, as if we are remembering those times which we didn't appreciate as much as we should all that time ago. We are in Fjelin's shoes. And for the new faces of her group, we have the ever-adorable Fern, the orphan that Heiter tricked Fjelin into caring about, a gifted mage and daughter/sister to Fjelin in a way, who we see grow from an unsure, quiet child to an experienced, somewhat stubborn mage of exceptional skill. And the newest addition to her group, Stark, is a subversion of the trope of a coward. A hero who thought he saved a town through sheer dumb luck is really a man terrified but resolved to fight, and truly has the ability to do so, even so much as to easily kill a dragon he was afraid to fight. And lastly, what would this crowd be without Fjelin? Now, Fjelin isn't naive about the world. She's incredibly smart and incredibly talented. She's been around for a long time, but she doesn't feel old as much as she feels experienced. She loves sleeping in. She takes pleasure in wasting time, spending years doing the most mundane of things. She's very fond of magic and likes to collect grimoires no matter the danger and no matter the spell inside them. She's a bit reckless and a harsh teacher, but even if she wasn't certain at first, she does care about the people around her, even if she sometimes is too late to realize it. And she does try to make an effort when she can, especially now with Fern. And sometimes that's enough. But in a way, she's also still a child, easily predicted, even by her mentor, with a 1,000-year hard read on her greatest regret. Easily predicted by Himmel and Heiter and Eisen, who all understood that she wasn't cold because she was cruel, but because she hasn't yet understood what was important to her. But now she does. Remember how I mentioned she enjoys collecting grimoires? It's not just because she's obsessed with collecting magic, but it's a vestigial love she gained because her friends used to have so much fun with the little odds and ends spells she knew. And she loved that they loved them. Even to this day, she found a grimoire that makes grapes more sour, which sounds like the stupidest spell ever, until it's later revealed that that's Eisen's favorite food, and he doesn't even travel with her anymore. She just wanted to collect it. Little story beats like this, the subtle world building and character work we see in Frieren helps to elevate an already compelling character story into what I consider to be, 7 episodes in, an easy anime of the season contender. And all of it is built around the passage of time. Each episode we see how many years it's been since Himmel's death, how long Frieren lingers in a single location, because Frieren does linger. She could stay in a village for 5 years and not bat an eye, and the only reason she keeps moving right now is because Fern insists that she doesn't want to stay in a single place for what feels like forever for her, and no time at all for Frieren. Time moves in this anime. When Frieren returns to an old town to confront what was, 80 years ago, a near unstoppable monster, she's able to wipe the floor with him because at this point in history, that monster's magic has been studied to death and is now considered nothing more than basic attack magic. And it's smaller pieces of time that changes too. How Fern physically grows, how the seasons change. Time and death permeate this anime, and as episodes go by, you're worried that there will be a jump at some point, and you'll miss something, just like Frieren did. Just like Frieren did, because that's what this anime is about. Time and memory, and the fear of loneliness and being forgotten. And it hurts, because everyone feels like this in some way. We fear not only being forgotten, but forgetting. If you went to sleep one night and woke up 1,000 years in the future, you wouldn't only be distraught because the people you love are gone, you'd be distraught because there'd be no one else to remember them with you, no one to share that memory, as Zhang Li puts it. And while the Genshin voice line is memed to death, it's nonetheless true. Time kills all things, and we watch through Frieren's eyes. We are looking through the eyes of someone who wakes up 1,000 years later again and again and again. Fern Stark will die. The world around her will be destroyed and built up again, and there's nothing she can do about it but remember. So it means so much that she can still remember, and that she can still cry. When a mere 10-year journey can affect her so much, it gives us hope, and it's beautiful. The whole anime is beautiful. It's not action-packed, it's no Jujutsu Kaisen. The best way I can describe it is the feeling you get when you play a JRPG that you love. Dragon Quest or Pokemon or Octopath Traveler, anything like that. One that took you a month to complete, that you played slowly, that you just finished the main quest, and now, to fill that hole in your heart, you spend the next few weeks completing every side mission, getting every collectible, reminiscing on the adventures that you and your little pixelated party took, and even though it was only a month of your life, you will remember it for a long, long time. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is that experience, distilled and animated, a combination of Violet Evergarden and probably the greatest fantasy anime genre you can imagine. It is poignant without being forlorn. It is triumphant in its emotions. It is quiet and thoughtful as its characters stare up at the sunrise and realize the importance of simply being together in that moment. And it's beautiful. There's no better place I could think about inserting this piece of the review in, so here it goes. But speaking of beautiful, I want to talk about Himmel, the hero, the vain man who had me fooled from episode 1 up until episode 7, which is the last one I watched before writing the script. Himmel, the hero, leader of the party, comes off originally as a kind of jokey character who loves to look at himself in the mirror. You can't initially see how he of all people led the party that defeated the Demon King. Hell, he spends most of his time after saving a town insisting that they make an accurate statue of him and the party and putting it somewhere visible. It's often the only reward he asks for, and I mean, how could a guy be so full of himself? And my god, was I wrong. And it hits hard when Frieren asks him why he has these statues made, and he replies, rather, traditionally, that he wants people to remember them. Humans don't live that long, and in my opinion, have even shorter memories, but that's not the only reason. We see earlier this episode Frieren reminiscing about her master. And Coley points out that after over 1,000 years, Fiorin's probably the only one who still remembers her master's face. Even her master's writings at this point are just the thing of legends. To the rest of the world, Flamel the wizard is merely a fairy tale. And Himmel was listening, and you can barely see it in the anime. He's right there. And then we see later this episode, he turned to Fiorin and gives her the real reason. I guess the biggest reason is so you won't be alone in the future. We're not fairy tales, Fiorin. We really existed. Himmel, throughout this whole journey, made time to know Fiorin, to make sure that she remembered him, and set the world up to be able to share those memories with her long after he's gone. And that's when I realized for certain that Himmel loved her. There's no doubt in my mind. And even so, it seemed like he never asked her for anything in return. Even when she didn't visit him for 50 years at the end of their journey, he held no grudge. He was simply happy when she showed back up again. And I wrote this tearing up because I know Fiorin's greatest strength now. It's showing the love of these people, new and old, in these memories. A pure love of sharing moments together, of simply standing next to each other, of remembering each other's faces. This love that defies time, despite knowing that it can't hold out forever. Fiorin too will eventually die. Maybe in 1,000,000 years, but she will still die. And the memory of the hero's party will fade from existence, along with those statues. But in the moment, that doesn't matter. In the moment, it's still beautiful. And I think Fiorin knows that too. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Fiorin and this review. No spoilers, please. Leave a like and comment, something stupid if you want. It really helps with the algorithm. And if you want more dives into anime or want me to cover Fiorin when it finally ends, then subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. My name is Lachlan Star Eyes, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!